After my last experience, my parents reminded me of another story from my childhood. When you're only 5 years old, your mind lacks the experience to make informed judgments or connect things which are not obvious. Over the years, the details get fuzzy, forgotten. Speaking with my parents the other day, they cleared the cobwebs burying this particular story. I remember now, far too clearly, the story of Gurgles and Bugman. I had just started kindergarten that year. Everyone's a friend when you're 5, so I had no shortage of classmates. But coming from a poor family, I didn't get to see much of them outside of school. My parents spent all their waking hours trying to make ends meet. They didn't have time to ferry me from house to house. So, I spent my early years mostly keeping to myself, playing with the random assortment of knickknacks from the shelf in my room. Being short of money gave my family a habit of hoarding, so they hated to throw anything out. One particular item on the shelf was this small, old-fashioned TV set. A wooden veneer box about 2 feet wide by a foot tall. It had a curved glass screen that took up half the front panel. Beside the screen was this large chrome dial. It was used to switch between channels. And at the top sat an antenna formed by these 2 terribly twisted wires. Whenever my boredom would make me turn it on, usually I'd just get static and snow on that glowing black and white screen. I would twist the heavy clicking dial, hoping to pick up some local broadcasts. Mostly it would just be ghostly images and incoherent sound fragments. But one channel was always crystal clear. It was the Gurgles and Bugman show. Gurgles was a clown, but not a common one. He wore this thin black suit that draped his tall, skinny body with a matching tie and these oversized novelty clown shoes to complete his distinctive outfit. His pupils were completely black, almost like polished ebony marbles. No trace of white around them. Black face paint around those eyes and across his cheeks and mouth made him look like a manic, grinning skeleton. It was only the crazy crop of curly hair sprouting off the sides of his head that gave him anything of a human look. As much as Gurgles freaked me out though, Bugman scared me more. He was short, round, like a hunchback dwarf, with a dark cape. He had prosthetics covering his eyes to make him look like a fly, and a mouth that was rotated 90 degrees and opened from side to side. The show itself was like a candid camera type format, with pranks played on unsuspecting people. It would always start with Gurgles and Bugman hidden away in someone's home. Gurgles would face the camera, staring right at you, his bony finger touching his lips. When the unsuspecting star of the show came into view, a laugh track would begin to play. You would see them go about their nightly routines, oblivious to the conspiracy that Gurgles and Bugman had involved us all in. We would see them making dinner, or on the lounge, watching television with their family, or just quietly doing their homework or something. Then watch as Gurgles and Bugman would steal their pen, or move their glass, or made things disappear behind their backs. The camera angles would change as Gurgles and Bugman shifted their hiding place from the dark corners of a room to the cupboards, to the ceiling, or underneath the furniture. All the while, looking back at you and winking. The closer they got, the louder and heavier the laugh track became. Eventually, when everyone went to sleep, a victim would be chosen for their prank. Waiting in the closet or under the bed, once their victim fell asleep, Bugman would crawl out and gently climb in beside them. His jaw would open sideways, and out would come a sharp straw that he would stick into the person's neck. This always paralyzed their victim, because sometimes you could see them struggle if they woke up and saw Gurgles and Bugman on top of them. The laugh track would be extra loud and uproarious in those few moments when the victims awoke. Gurgles would make faces at the camera while the audience laughed, and Bugman would use his straw to drink from the person's neck. The victim would stop struggling after a few minutes, and the laughter would turn to claps and cheering. With Bugman finished, Gurgles' face would fill the entire screen with his impossibly wide, sharp-toothed grin. And he would whisper, "See you again soon." The way those all-black eyes pierced through the screen, it always gave me chills. I hated the show, but I'd always be too afraid to go near the TV while it was running. One day, the TV mysteriously disappeared from my room. My parents had told my 5-year-old self that they sold it to pay some bills, and I accepted that without question. Honestly, I was kind of glad it was gone. But just yesterday, when I asked them about that television again, they exchanged nervous glances. Then, they filled in some missing gaps from my childhood. Halfway through that year, Derek, a classmate I did not know very well, had died in horrific circumstances. He had been murdered in his bed with a stab wound to the neck. No evidence of a break-in was ever found, so his distraught parents were taken into custody as the primary suspects. They denied all the allegations against them. At the time Mrs. Meulen, my teacher, told our class, I had apparently explained to her that Derek couldn't be dead because I saw him and his family on the Gurgles and Bugman show the day before. When Mrs. Meulen mentioned to my parents what I'd said, they had immediately taken that TV from my room, driven it to a junkyard, and had it burned to nothing but ashes and molten metal. That TV was in my room because it had always been broken. It was never plugged in the entire time it sat on my shelf. Whatever I saw on that screen, it had not been from any station. So, that's my story of Gurgles and Bugman. But I'm not sure if that's really the end. After all, the question lingers. Do Gurgles and Bugman still perform their nightly show for some unsuspecting viewer somewhere in this world? And if so, who will be their next star?